Hi there guys, I'm Danny and welcome to this episode of All Monsters Go to Space. Today I'm bringing you a video on the Judaic creature, the Shamir. This tiny little being is said to be about the size of a grain of barley, so about half a centimetre. There are a few descriptions, one being that it's a white worm, kind of like a grub, and the other is a green stone. And there are some that say it was actually a herb. Now in the Gemara section of the Talmud, it's said that the Shamir was able to cut through anything, well almost. It could get through iron and even diamond, but not lead, which is why if it had to be stored, it would be wrapped in cotton, then it would be put in a lead vessel. Another of its uses was to carve symbols into gemstones, so they could become imbued with mystical properties. An interesting thing though, is that it is said not to actually cut in the conventional sense. In some variations, it says that the Shamir will gaze at what needed to be cut, or it touched what needed to be cut, and some say it even bled on it. Also, it seems that whoever is in the possession of this being, they appear to have control over it. One thing to note is that it has never seemed to hurt anything living. Within the Talmud, there is the most famous story, the story of King Solomon, who was wanting to build the first temple in Jerusalem. The only problem is, the stone for the temple couldn't be cut with a weapon of war, so pretty much anything made with iron. The king had heard of the Shamir. He had heard the legend of how Moses used this creature to engrave stones that went on a priest's breastplate. He sent out a servant, although some tales say he went himself, and they first came across the demon Asmodeus, but he no longer had the Shamir. It had gone to the Prince of Seas, so they went over to the Prince of Seas, but he had given it to the rock splitter, which translated to a kind of bird. So Solomon's assistant, Benaiah, came across the bird's nest. It was covered in glass, and so Benaiah hid underneath it, and when the bird came back, he smashed the glass, scared the bird, and managed to get the Shamir. Thus the temple was built peacefully. And by the time the second temple was built, the Shamir was no longer needed, but there's two endings for this. One is that the creature had lost its potency, and the other says that it was lost somehow. Now another story, this one from the Quran, mentions how Solomon, now an old man, had jinn working for him. Now while they were working, Solomon was leaning against his staff and he passed away. And for almost a year he stayed like this. It wasn't till, according to Ibn Abbas, a creature of the earth, which was a kind of worm, ate the staff. His body fell and the jinn knew then that they had been working thinking they were being supervised. Now it's speculated that this kind of worm was actually the Shamir. And surprisingly, considering how little is known about this creature, there is one mention of the Shamir in popular culture. Leonard Tushnet published The Worm Shamir in the late 1968 fantasy and science fiction magazine. Well, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed this very short one. If so, please leave a like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video on Twitter and in the comments section. Bye!